we will need today the usual array of things. So we'll need your therapy balls. And remember that we do have more at the clinic if you need another set or you want to give somebody with this precious self-care tool. Okay, so we'll need a tea towel. Then if you have a yoga block or a couple of books, hardcover preferably, and then a blanket. So, and the blanket that I like to use, sort of like a quilt type of blanket that it has some substance to it. It's not slippery and it's not too fluffy. We'll start with some chest massage with your therapy ball. And I'd like you to sit on a bit of a height, right? So even if you have to sit on a stool, that's totally fine. But I really want you to be aware of your sit bones pressing against the surface that you're sitting on. And I want you to find through the lower back, right? Really important for the proper length of our abdominal muscles so they can generate force, actually. It's very important for the shock absorption that's built into our spine, right? When we lose that curve, we're shortening the pelvic floor, right? The pelvic floor becomes really deactivated. And we're also losing the shock absorption mechanism built into our spine. And when you find that curve through the lower back, notice if your lid on your egg wants to pop open, right? So it's a bit of a tricky puzzle, but the more you're aware of where the parts of your body are, the easier it will be for you to find all those pieces, right? So a little bit of a curve through the lower back, ribs are down. You can poke around gently around the bottom of your rib cage. Make sure that you cannot sort of dig your fingers under the ribs, so the ribs are kind of gently pressing into the abdominal wall, okay? And this is already sort of an exercise on its own, right? So just to keep that upright posture, keeping all the pieces stacked over one another. Okay, so now we'll take one of our therapy balls, and we've done it before. We'll just start rolling it across the chest, so under the collarbone. And you decide how much pressure you want to apply, right? Some parts of your chest might feel really sensitive. So we're trying to make it feel like it's a nourishment and not like it's a punishment, right? So make sure you're enjoying it. There should be some sensations, but there shouldn't be like those sensations that make you wince or hold your breath. Mm-hmm. And now try sort of pressing the ball down under the collarbone, closer to midline. And then twist the ball around so it pinches the skin, right? And then move the ball with the skin, move the skin with the ball while it's still pinching, right? And if you found some sort of patches of skin that feel very tight and kind of stuck to the underlayers, stay there and then move your head around a little bit. And just notice how it changes the sensation. And again, it's up to you to explore and decide how much pressure you want, how much movement of the skin is available and is not creating any unpleasant sensations, right? And explore along the collarbone, maybe move towards the outer edge a little bit. Twist the ball, and again, if you found it might feel like a ropey sensation and like a tight sensation, stay there and move your head side to side. Mm-hmm. And then reach the outmost furthest sort of corner of your collarbone and pinch there, and then see if you can move your head and your neck. Notice if your head is sort of hanging in front of you. See if you can bring it back so the head feels like it's right on top of the shoulders. Nice. And then switch over to the other side. So start just gently rolling it first. Check in with your curve through the lower back with your ribs in the front. Breathing through the nose. Notice if the side feels different, more sensational, less. And then start pressing the ball gently down, twist it around so it pinches the skin. So you sort of anchor that skin, right? And then you move the ball with the skin. Well, I guess you move the skin with your ball. And then traveling along the collarbone, exploring. And then if you found that ropey sensation, like it's pulling and wouldn't let go, stay there for a little bit, breathe and move your head and neck gently, slowly. And notice where you feel that sensation of pulling or maybe tingling or stretching, and all the way to the corner of the collarbone that's closer to your outer shoulder. And then twisting and moving the skin with the ball. Very nice. Okay. And then go right to the center, right between the collarbones. Pin the ball down and then pull down on your skin there. And then gently and slowly, see if you can bring your chin slightly up and then move your head side to side. There's a big sort of sheet of connective tissue that's right underneath the skin there. It's called platysma, and it gets really tight and kind of pulls the head forward and down. And even if it feels like there's no movement and it's very intense right now, the more you do this, the more sort of pliable and soft that sheet of tissue will become. Beautiful. Nice. And let's put the ball off to the side. So we'll start with our snow angels on the ground, and we'll need our bolster for that, right? So we'll use the blanket, sort of folded. And then you can use either your books, or if you have a pillow, you can put a pillow under your head. And the idea is to have the bottom of your shoulder blades to line up with the edge of your blanket, right? We want the middle back to be hovering off the floor. So I like using my yoga block here for underneath my head. And then take your time settling down. See that there's enough space around you so you can bring your arms out onto a T. Make sure that the bottom edge of your ribs is lining up with the blanket. And then your head support feels just right for you. And then let's poke around with our fingers under the rib cage. See that the ribs are not popping up, right? We're not arching through the middle back. We're softening it towards the floor. And once you settle down, bring your arms into a T. And that might already feel like a stretch across the chest. Your knees bent, and you can allow the knees to come together so your lower belly relaxes. So take a few breaths here. Notice how much of your rib cage is available to your breath this morning. We softened our chest muscles a little bit, so hopefully we can steer the breath further down into the rib cage and allow the upper chest to soften as you inhale and exhale. And also notice if you can soften the middle back towards the floor on the inhale. Can you find that gentle expansion towards the floor through your bottom and side ribs? If you're not sure what that
that's supposed to mean. So maybe you can take your usual breath and just notice where you feel most of the expansion happening. Most likely it will go right into the front of your chest. Notice that. And then on the next inhale, try to steer the breath into the middle back so that your bottom ribs open a bit more towards the floor underneath you. Couple more just like that. Keep softening the middle back towards the floor. And then slowly and gently start moving your arms up towards your head, gliding your thumbs on the floor and your pinkies pointing up towards the sky. Keep relaxing the middle back towards the floor so we don't end up flaring the ribs up, hoping that lid open. And if, there's a certain angle where you feel like you can't breathe softly anymore or your ribs have to pop open, just stop there. That will be the end range for now. And then glide your arms slowly down towards your hips. Still thumbs on the floor and pinkies pointing up towards the sky. And slowly up. So go slowly enough so you can really register every sensation that you're experiencing in your arms, under the armpit, across your chest. Maybe your belly wants to tense up. See if you can soften it. And a couple more times. Maybe you want to move your head gently side to side and see how that move radiates down your upper arm on one side and on the other side. Beautiful. So now bring your arms up so your fingertips are pointing up towards the sky, and we'll reach the right arm nice and high so it becomes longer than your left arm. Notice how it's your right shoulder blade that created this length in your arm. Your right shoulder blade has moved away from the spine. And then you pull your right arm down, elbow stays straight, and your right arm becomes just a little bit shorter than your left arm. And feel your right shoulder blade pressing into your blanket. And then reach the right arm up again, make it nice and long. See, maybe it's now longer. Maybe it's like half a palm longer than your left arm now, or maybe a whole palm longer. See if you can get a whole palm longer than your left. And then slowly, slowly bring it back down and make it shorter. Press the right shoulder blade into your blanket. Maybe you can make it half a palm shorter than your left. One more time. Reach your right arm up. Make it a whole palm longer than your left. Reach. And then bring the right arm back down and make the arms of equal length. Now let's do the left side. So reach your left arm up. Maybe half a palm longer than your right. And then slowly, slowly down. The top of your left shoulder stays down, so we're not pulling it up to our ear, right? We're moving the shoulder blade away from the spine, reach. Now it's maybe almost a full palm longer than your right arm. And then you slowly, slowly bring it down. Push the left shoulder blade into your blanket. And the shoulder blade, notice how it's now much closer to your spine. And then again, reach. Whole palm length longer than your right side. And then bring it down. Beautiful. Interlock your fingers and slowly bring your arms closer to your face. And stop as soon as you feel that your ribs have to pop up. Right, flare up. So we're still softening our middle back towards the floor. So maybe your arms will be here. Maybe you can take them further up. Make sure you feel the blanket with the bottom edge of your ribcage. Now straighten your legs. Cross your right ankle over your left. And then start shortening the left side of your body, sort of coming into a slight crescent shape on the left side. Make sure you can still feel your blanket under the bottom ridge of your shoulder blades. So we're stretching the right side of the body and we're shortening the left. And we're keeping the ribs in. Beautiful. Come back to center. Let's switch our ankles. So left ankle crosses over right. Your ribs are still down and you're shortening the right side of the body, coming to crescent shape on the right side. You're stretching the left side and you're shortening the right. Beautiful. Come back to center. Bend your knees again. Relax the arms by your sides. Take a moment there. Beautiful. So roll onto your side. Push yourself up and we'll move our bolster away so we can go all the way down onto our back. Keep your blanket close and then your tea towel over here as well. And then go all the way onto your back again. Tea towel on your belly so you can grab it and then we'll squeeze the blanket, or you can use your yoga block or your box between your knees. Knees bent, feet on the ground. I'll move my arms out of the way so you can see my spine. So I want your left hand to be able to slide underneath your lower back, palm down. And I want you to notice if your lower back is pressing into the back of your hand. So try to create enough space underneath your lower back that you're not squishing your palm into the floor. You feel your hand under your lower back, but you're not squishing it, right? And now see if you can tip your pelvis forward so your lower back lifts off your palm a touch. Notice how this feels. You inhale here, and then as you exhale, tilt your pelvis back so you're now squishing, really squishing your hand underneath your lower back. Notice how this feels. You're holding your blanket or your block with your knees. And again, inhale and tilt your pelvis forward. Notice how your lower back lifts off your hand. Nice soft inhale. And then as you exhale, tilting your pelvis back and squishing your hand with the lower back, but your bum, your hips stay on the ground. Beautiful. Now come back to neutral, where it feels like you're not squishing and you're not lifting off your hand, right? Take the palm out and then try it without your hand. So tilting the pelvis forward so there's a deeper arch through the lower back, and you inhale here. And as you exhale, you tip the pelvis back and you pressing, you go now further down because there's no hand underneath your lower back, and you press the lower back into the ground. See how this feels. One more time, inhale and tilt the pelvis forward. Notice if your ribs really want to flare up here, so keep them soft. And now exhale and slowly rock your pelvis back, press the lower back into the ground. Beautiful. Okay, so now come back to neutral. So there's a little bit of space underneath your lower back. See how this feels. Nice. So still squeezing your blanket. Let's keep our lower back just the way it is, right? We're not moving anything. So see if you can bring both legs up. Maybe even try sliding your hand under your lower back. Notice if it's flat on the ground. So if it's completely flat and there's no way you can keep your legs up without squishing your hand, you can take your blanket out from in between your knees, put it off to the side, and try one leg at a time. Can you lift one leg and then put it down on the other leg? And notice if your lower back really wants to move. Can you keep it still, alternating lifting your legs one at a time? Make sure you're still breathing there. So now try lifting both legs now. Stabilize your core, right? We're not moving the spine. It's in the same neutral shape. Take your tea towel. pull on your tea towel and reach your arms up towards the sky. Your hands are shoulder width apart, okay? And now we'll bring the arms up and over our head, and we'll keep the spine in that same neutral shape. Nothing is changing. You're reaching your arms up and over your head, and then you bring them back up. See that your shins are parallel to the floor, flex your feet, and your spine is in that neutral, right? Tiny bit of space under your lower back. The ribs are heavy on the floor, arms up and over, and then back up. One more time. Breathing here. Pulling on your towel so your arms are engaged, and up. Slowly bring your feet down. So now let's squeeze the blanket between the knees again. And we'll lift both legs up. Try to create 90 degrees on the inside of your knees. So your thighs are vertical in relation to the floor and your shins are parallel. Ribs down. Reach your arms up. Pull on your tea towel. Squeeze your blanket between your knees. Now we'll move our arms 2 inches over to the right and our knees 2 inches over to the left. So the spine really wants to twist here, but we're stabilizing it, right? We're taking our legs over to the left and arms to the right 2 inches. Bring them back to center. Inhale. As you exhale, legs move 2 inches over to the right, arms 2 inches over to the left. Stabilizing through the core. Come back to center. Inhale here. As you exhale, nice and slow, arms over to the right, pull on your towel, legs over to the left, squeeze the blanket between your knees. Come back to center, one last time. Inhale, spine is in neutral. Arms over to the left, knees over to the right. Breathing here. Come back to center. And then slowly release your arms down, put your feet down, nice and slow with control. Take your blanket off to the side. Whew, feels good. So make sure your feet are close to your sit bones. You have some leverage in your feet. You can press into your feet. Let's move the pelvis back and forth a couple more times here. So you inhale and you tilt your pelvis forward. The arch in your lower back gets a little bit deeper. As you exhale, you tilt your pelvis back, you press your lower back into the ground. This time, press through your feet and see if you can lift your hips up. Not too high, inhale at the top. And then slowly, like a wave, go down. Your ribs touch down first, then your middle back, then your lower back, and then your hips. Beautiful, inhale, tilt the pelvis forward. As you exhale, start rocking your pelvis back. Press your lower back into the ground, press it to your feet. Like a wave, slowly come up, hips off the ground. Now go a little bit higher this time. Pretend there is still a blanket between your knees, so your legs are active. You're pressing down through the soles of your feet. And then you slowly go down like a wave. Ribs down first, middle back, lower back, then your hips. One more time. Inhale, tilting the pelvis forward. Exhale, slowly tilting the pelvis back. This time we'll add arms to this wave. So you're pressing to the feet. You're slowly rolling your hips up and away from the floor, and your arms come up. And you take just as much time to bring your arms up and over your head as you take for your hips to lift as high as they can. Press into your feet. And then slowly take a whole exhale to go down. Arms and hips moving in synchrony. Beautiful. One more time, just like that. Inhale, tilt the pelvis forward. Exhale, start tilting it back. Press your lower back into the ground first. Press through your feet. Pretend you're squeezing the blanket between your knees. The legs are active. Hips and arms come up. Inhale at the top, and then you slowly make your way down. Lovely. And just take a moment there, see how your body is connecting to the floor. Maybe straighten your legs, see how your lower back is doing. Maybe move your head side to side, see how your neck is doing. Then bend your knees again, roll over to your side. Push yourself up. And let's make our way onto our hands and knees. And we'll take a moment to move here, in whichever way your body wants you to move. So maybe you want to go in a circle over your hips. Maybe you want to play with the distance between your knees, see what it feels like to make your knees slightly wider. Maybe you want to round and arch your back, nice and slowly, connecting your movement to your breath, pushing the floor away through your hands, through the palm of your hand, through the fingertips. Breathing and moving, just see how things are. Beautiful. And then slowly make your way up to standing. Gently shaking everything out. Okay. So from here, see if you can stand on your left foot. And gradually start making your right foot a little bit lighter. And then see if you can lift your right foot off the floor. Try not to tilt your body when you do this. So if somebody is watching you from the waist up, they don't even know that you're trying to stand on one foot. Again, try to really root down through your left and see if you can make your right slightly higher, maybe even lift it off the floor. And put it down. And one more time, rooting down through the left, nothing changes. You're floating your right foot off the floor. You're welcome to hold on to something if this is a little bit too challenging today. Notice how your ankle is reacting, how your toes are reacting, helping you to stay upright. And then bring your right foot down, rooting through the right. And this side might feel quite different. So see if you can make your left foot slightly lighter first. And then maybe you can even float it off the floor. Nothing changes. And bring it down. Again, rooting through the right. Press it into the floor. And lift your left. Or just make it lighter if floating it is not an option. Put it down. One more time. First, make your weight even. So notice how it feels to have your weight distributed evenly in both feet. And then start rooting down through your right. Your toes are participating, your ankle is participating, and you're floating your left. Beautiful. Okay, nice. Now widen your feet so they're hip width apart. Let's take our right foot forward. Your hip width apart, right? Now pull your right toes off the floor, come up onto your right heel. Find the hip bones in the front here. Notice that there's a little bit too much curve through the lower back. And you tap your tail under just a touch. Now soften your left knee and see if you can hinge at the hips. Your spine stays completely still. It's still in neutral, right? Just like we were stabilizing when we were on the floor. Can you find the hinge at the hips, but keep your spine exactly the same? And then slowly unhinge. I like holding onto my belly and to my lower back. So whenever I hinge forward, I know right away if I'm moving through my back or through my front here,
rather than at my hips. So I really want to feel no movement here, and I want to find hinge here. Pull the toes up, soften your back knee just a touch, and then see if you can hinge forward. So the ribs stay in, the lid stays attached to your egg, right? So stay here, breathing through the nose, and see if you can twist, sort of pivot on your heel, on your right heel, side to side. Keep pulling the toes up. Keep pulling the toes up. Beautiful. Come back to center, and then unhinge. And step back with the right, and let's step forward with the left. Okay, so pull the left toes up. That might feel like a calf stretch already. So not a huge step forward. Both feet are pointing forward. Again, I'm holding onto my belly and my lower back. Soften the right knee and then start hinging forward. Send your sit bones back. Nothing happens through the torso. The lid is attached. Keep pulling the toes on the left foot up. Beautiful. Lengthen your neck so you're looking down. The ribs are in. And then start pivoting on your left heel. The entire leg is moving in and out from the root down. Notice if your right knee wants to veer in towards midline or out away, point it directly over the second toe on the right foot. A couple more times. And then unhinge. Beautiful. So now let's try standing on the left foot again. First, distribute the weight even on both feet. And then start rooting down through your left. See if you can float your right foot. Try not to let that left hip out to the side. Hug it in. So standing on your left, see if you can bend your right knee. And notice as you bend your knee, as your lid gets disattached. So lid on, spine is still in neutral. You're pulling your heel up nice and high. So let's stand. Keep standing on your left. Okay, pulling the right heel up, 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 up as high as you can without letting anything in the torso go. 4, keep rooting down through the left. 3, 2, and 1. Take a step forward. Soften your back knee. Send your hips back. Nothing changes in the torso. Pull the toes up. Pivot on that heel. We just activated the back line of that leg, and now we're stretching it. Revisiting that calf stretch, that hamstring stretch, yeah. Come back to center and then unhinge. Can you still stand on your left and shake out your right? Shake it, shake it. Beautiful, okay. Other side, so standing on both feet first. Ribcage is stacked over your pelvis. Start rooting down through your right. Pressing down, see if you can start floating your left. Keep floating. Notice if the hip wants to go out. Hug it in. Now bend the left knee. Keep pulling the heel nice and high. Nothing changes in the torso, ribs in. Curve through the lower back. See if the knee wants to come up, if the thigh wants to come up. So keep your knees parallel to each other and the thigh back. Keep pulling the heel up. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful, take a step forward. Pull the toes up. Your hip width apart still, you keep pulling the toes up. And we start hinging, sending the sit bones back. Lid is attached, nothing changes in the torso. Look down at your toes, and then start pivoting on that heel. Notice how the rotation at your hip changes the sensation through the back line of the leg. Keep pulling the toes up, the top of the foot up towards the shin. The neck is long. Come back to center and then slowly unhinge.
So standing on your right, shake out the left. Shake it, shake it. Can you still stay upright? Challenge your balance a little bit. Shake it, shake it. Beautiful. So stand on both feet. Maybe close your eyes for a second and just see what it feels like. Just stand on both feet. Your rib cage is stacked over your pelvis. The weight of your body is sitting evenly in both feet. Not just in the toes, not in the ball of the foot, but closer to the heel. Can you sense the big toe, the pinky? Can you sense the temperature and the texture of the floor underneath you? Is it your mat or your blanket? Notice your breath flowing in and out. Notice if you can find a three-dimensional expansion through your rib cage. So as you inhale, the rib cage expands side to side, back to front, top to bottom. The breath is flowing smoothly, easily through the nose.